Happy New Year and welcome to the first episode of the Comic Hall for 2018. I'm your host, Dylan Lang, and for those who might not know what the Comic Hall is, let me just do a quick refresher course since this is the first one of the new year. I am a comic book collector. I also used to work for Diamond Comic Distributors kind of a long time ago. Last time I worked there was about 12 years ago. I worked there for about 3 to 4 years. I was customer service rep and a brand manager. So I've had some experience there. I've worked in Diamond Comics warehouse before when we used to have one in Baltimore, and I also used to work at a comic book store called Alternate Worlds. So my dad started my comic book collection with Spiderman, and I've gone forward from that and now have probably over 1 million some comics that are all sitting in my basement here and some up my bedroom too. And my wife is going to kill me if I don't get rid of them soon or do whatever. And my mom always thinks that I'm going to be making $1 million if I sell them all. If I sold all for $1, maybe I could, but we'll see. Think about that. If I sold them all for $1 and I have 1 million of them, that would be $1 million. Interesting. Maybe I should try that. Draw a box off and say, hey, I've got 100 right here. I'll save them all for $1 a bag, $1 a comic, $100. Okay, that might work. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be a millionaire before you know it. Anywho, so what I do is my local comic book store here in Reisterstown, Maryland, where I am centered, is called Cards, Comics, and Collectibles. The owner of the comic book store is also the guy who runs the Baltimore Comic-Con, so I've got that connection as well. I also know people who are in the industry as well, so I have a feel fairly well read when it comes to comic books, and I'm a comic book fan, as I just said myself. So what this show is about is I buy comics every week, a lot, maybe more than I should, but I'm trying to cut down starting this month. I will start cutting down on them, even though when you see the haul, you'll be surprised about how many I actually got this week. But and then what I do is I show you the comics. I talk to you a little bit about them, describe who the writer, artist, and maybe a little about the story if I know the story is about, and show you some of the artwork for it to try to get you all to come to the comic book store, because in the end, that's what I want everybody to do. I want everybody to see these books and say, hey, these look kind of cool, and maybe go into your local comic book store. If you need to know where your local comic book store is, go to your search engine and type in Comic Shop Locator Service. When it comes up in your search engine, click on it. It should take you right to the Comic Shop Locator Service, or CSLS website. On the right-hand side, it'll have a place for your zip code. You type your zip code in and hit enter, and it'll list all the comic book shops in your area within about a 20-mile radius, I would say. So you can go in and check out. And believe it or not, 20 miles is a lot, because I've got a store in Annapolis, which shows up on my search. Down in Baltimore City, of course, the one's out in Hunt Valley, the one I go to here, stuff like that. So definitely check that out. Definitely go to your local comic book store and see what's different. Make it your New Year's resolution to check out a new comic book store. And if you're in the Reisterstown area, Cards, Comics, and Collectibles has moved to a much bigger location. It is absolutely stunning and gorgeous, and I love it. And I spent more time there than I did in the old store, so it's fantastic. But for now, that's my spiel. For those who have never seen this show, that's my spiel. Welcome. And this is this week's Comic Hall. As always, I start with DC Comics, then Marvel Comics, then Independents. You will see that I prefer DC Comics to Marvel, and I have a good amount of Independents as well. But again, I'll be, bouncing back and forth, and some of these you will not see again. Some I'm just buying just to test them out, and if I like them, I like them. If I don't, I don't. And if I need to cut something for money-wise, I cut it there. So enough talking. Let's get into the business. Mea culpa. I've already made this mea culpa, but I'm gonna make it again. Batman White Knight #4, newest issue, is out this week. When this first was announced, I totally thought it was going to be a disaster. It's focusing more on the Joker, a Joker that has ceased to be insane and has become an upstanding citizen. Meanwhile, Batman has become a little bit more unhinged and insane. So it's sort of a flip. I think it's an 8-issue miniseries, so we're halfway there with this issue. It's written and drawn by Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy has done an amazing job with writing and drawing it. The book is absolutely gorgeous. This issue is not really for kids. It's rated T, Teen Plus, because this is the, if you follow Sean Murphy on Twitter, he revealed the untarnished pages of the Joker Harley Quinn sex scene, which is the first sex scene between the two characters, and it's in this book. Now, it's not a full-on sex scene. It's more of an afterglow type of thing, but let's just take a look at some of the gorgeous artwork that comes from it. It is absolutely stunning. I really, really enjoy it. And we'll have to show you the stunning Harley here. The sex scene is on the next page, but I'm not going to show you that because this is still kind of a family show, but that's a gorgeous Harley Quinn. And we even get good appearances of Batgirl and Nightwing. Here's in this version. I like how they look too. So it's a very good book, very nice looking, and I highly recommend. Most comic book stores will have at least 2 to 3 months worth of old books up on their shelves. More than likely, you have your new shelf, and then you'll have the shelf that has the 1 to 3 months worth of books, so you can get caught up more easy. Or if not, check the back issue bins right there. It should only cost maybe an additional $1 or so, but it's well worth it. So Batman White Knight definitely is a good one. Probably the best series. I was originally going to think it was Superman, but then I started reading Batman, and this was the best series of 2017. Tom King has continued this streak with issue number 38 of Batman. For those who don't know, Tom King has done an amazing job and has taken Batman to places he's never been before. A different take on Batman, which I find refreshing and fantastic. And I love the fact that he and Catwoman are engaged to be married. It's not really a spoiler. It's been out now for about 6 months now, but I just want to let you know if you haven't seen it before. This is pretty much a one-shot. It's called The Origin of Bruce Wayne. It's written by Tom King with art by Travis Moore. And basically it tells a story of a boy whose life matches Bruce Wayne's and may very well be a adversary to come in the future. But again, Tom King writes these amazing stories, good character arcs. In fact, here's a little, speaking of some sex, Batman and Catwoman in bed together, as couples are wont to do. So that's a good sign that they are happy. The last 2 issues of Batman 36 and 37 were fantastic, where Batman and Catwoman went on a double date with Lois Lane and Superman. Fantastic. So you get a little bit of humor. This is a little bit more darker psychological issues, and it is phenomenal. Tom King is probably my favorite writer right now, and is a great issue, and is off to a good start right now. Poor Man's Comics just subscribed to my channel. Thank you, Poor Man Comics. I hope you're watching. So hello. Superman has been just as good. Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason have been doing a fantastic job. This is issue number 38, is out this week, continuing the Super Sons of Tomorrow storyline. The final part of the storyline will be next week's in Super Sons. I think it's next week or in 2 weeks, wherever Super Sons comes out next. Let's see if it tells us. To be concluded, Super Sons 12, so whenever that is. But Patrick Gleason and Peter Tomasi are doing a fantastic job with Superman. This is probably the second best book out right now. The artwork on this one is, hold on, let me see if I can find the artist here. Is Sergio Davila with inks by Vicente Cifuentes. So it was a crossover, started with a crossover with Teen Titans, and it was in Superman, Super Sons, Teen Titans, Superman, Super Sons. Super Sons is another fantastic book. It's where Damian, Robin is teamed up with John, Superman. Damian is the son of Bruce Wayne, and John is the son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. And it's been a great series, and love it. And this is a futuristic type of story, so still good. Green Lanterns, number 38. Green Lanterns has also been very good. Sam Humphries did a fantastic job with the Rebirth Green Lanterns, but now he hands it over to Tim Seeley, right? Yeah, Tim Seeley, and art by German Peralta. So the Green Lanterns are male and a female, and they are the Earth Green Lanterns. The other Green Lanterns are in the Green Lantern Corps book, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps book, which comes out, will probably be out, I think the newest issue should be out next week. But Green Lanterns has been just as good as well, surprisingly how good it's been. I haven't really read much of Tim Seeley's yet, but I like Sam Humphries' version of it. Batman keeps rolling. As I said, it's Happy Bat Year. Batman and the Signal #1. It's a 3-issue miniseries spinning out of Metal. Now, Metal has not been my particularly favorite crossover, and it still has another month or so to go. But they're also going to be spinning out a whole bunch of new comics from Metal, the new DC Age of Heroes. 2, 4, 6, 8 new comics with some really nice creative teams. Don't get me wrong, it's just, and they're different, and that's something good also. So you'll definitely see these in future episodes of the Comics Hall. However, Batman the Signal. The Signal is Batman's newest partner. Stories written by Scott Snyder and Tony Patrick, with art by Cully Hamner. It's a 3-issue miniseries set around the Metal, coming out of Metal, from the pages of Metal. We get a little, if you're wanting to follow what's going on in Metal, I mean, you don't have to read this to keep up with Metal, but it's always fun to get the back stories and some other stuff as well. That's why crossovers are successful, because they do that. And Cully Hamner hasn't really done anything for a while, and I really liked his work on Mosaic almost 25 years ago. So it's always fun to say. Speaking of Sam Humphries, he went from Green Lanterns. Actually, him and Tim Seeley just sort of switched books. Tim Seeley had been writing Nightwing, and Sam Humphries Green Lanterns, and now Tim Seeley's writing Green Lanterns, and Sam Humphries is writing Nightwing. I had stopped collecting Nightwing because it just wasn't interesting me, but Sam Humphries, no offense to Tim Seeley, who I absolutely adore, Hack Slash was still one of my favorite indie books, and he's doing a good job on Green Lanterns. It's just, I needed to cut somewhere, but then Sam Humphries comes and joins this with Bernard Chang on artwork, and now I'm stuck again getting this book because it looks really good, and it keeps Nightwing in Bloodhaven and gives him a little bit more of a purpose and stuff like that. So having him in Bloodhaven was always one of the best things they did in the 90s and early 2000s with Nightwing. So Sam Humphries is kicking it, and Bernard Chang is doing a really, really good job with the artwork as well. So, well worth it. Sam Humphries started with issue 35. That came out last month, or is it bi-weekly? It's bi-weekly, so it came out 2 weeks ago. So you can probably still find issue 35 probably at the beginning of Sam Humphries' story arc. And same with Tim Seeley's Green Lantern stuff, I think, has only been few issues, so it's good. Speaking of books that I canceled but then re-upped when they got a new writer, Justice League. I think this is probably the cover of the week right now. I haven't really had a chance to look at them, but this is a really good cover. It's one of a couple of them, so I'll make my determination again, but I really like this cover. It's a variant cover for Justice League. It's written by Christopher Priest, who is doing a phenomenal job on Deathstroke, and drawn by Pete Woods, who is one of those artists who is always consistent. And it's fun seeing Christopher Priest writing Justice League, and it's really, really interesting to see his take on these characters. He's already mixed it up a little bit and made it a little bit more interesting, and you kind of sometimes need sort of that change in perspective or atmosphere to make it a little more interesting. So I'm re-upping on this book too. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of Christopher Priest, he's still writing Deathstroke, and this is issue number 27. Artwork is by Diogenes Neves, and inks by Jason Paz. The artwork is absolutely stunning. And Christopher Priest is writing the heck out of it. Again, more sex. Yay! Should call it Happy Sex Year instead of Happy Bat Year. But this is a Christopher Priest is doing a fantastic job with writing Deathstroke, and has been the writer on this since the beginning of Rebirth. So now you got him on here and on Justice League, and you gotta love it. Black Lightning, Cold Dead Hands, #3 of a 6-issue miniseries. A couple reasons why this is out. Black Lightning, the TV show from CW, is coming out soon, and they want to get people who like the TV show to make their way into comic book stores and to get the comics. And if it becomes popular and the TV show becomes popular, maybe it'll get a regular series. Another reason why I bought this was because Black Lightning was created a long time ago, or 80s, I think, by Tony Isabella. Guess who's writing the miniseries? Tony Isabella. It's always great to see the creator of a character coming back to writing the character he created. And it's got some nice artwork by Clayton Henry, which is adding to how good it is. So very interesting saga. And, as I said, it's a good primer for the new Black Lightning series when that comes out on the CW very soon. Not exactly 100% certain when it comes out, but it will be out very soon. So if you want to, you can wait for the trade. The trade will be out in probably, let's see, the comic ends in April, so it'll probably be out by summertime. You can wait till then, or you can pick up the first reissues at your comic book store if you're interested. If you like the Black Lightning TV show, that might be a good primer for you, because it is written by Tony Isabella. Next up, we have Bombshells United, #9, written by Marguerite Bennett, who I absolutely adore, with art by Saya Oyum. Let me just see if Saya does the artwork for all of them, because what Bombshells is, for those who don't know, actually, it looks like they're expanding it a little bit. What Bombshells is Bombshells is a digital-first comic that Marguerite Bennett started writing a few years ago, and it came out digitally once a week. They did like a 10-issue book and 10-page story every week. And eventually DC decided to release them in comics by putting 2 of the 10-page stories together into one comic. And then they made the trades. So for those who don't want to do digital, they want to do comics, have the floppies or the trades. They wanted to put them out there. I caught on the Bombshells late, but I have every single one of the original Bombshells run of trades. I'm about halfway through the trades right now, so I got another half to go. I figure I'd get on the ground floor with the new comic. This one has stories based in the United States, because what Bombshells is, for those who don't know, is Bombshells is an alternate reality similar to White Knight, where the women superheroes are fighting bad guys and the Nazis and the war during World War II. So you have Batgirl and Big Barda and Harley Quinn and Zatanna and Poison Ivy and Katana. They're all fighting Supergirl, stuff like that. This is a pretty nice cover as well. As again, it was written by Marguerite Bennett with art by Saya Oyum. So you're getting a really good story. Marguerite Bennett has been kicking it. The story's been fantastic, and she's been introducing superheroines that you were not expecting, and superheroes. This is the first appearance of Black Adam, which is interesting. He might be playing a big role in things as well. And here is, Cheetah and Batgirl, and Mara's been involved in that as well, and all kinds of interesting stuff. So Bombshell's well worth it. Pick up the trades of the original series as well, and I think you will really, really enjoy them, because they are really, really good. That's it for the DC Universe proper. I've talked about them before. Archie Comics has been doing a really good job of updating their comics for contemporary audiences. And DC tried it. The New 52 didn't quite work. Marvel's always trying it. It's not always working. But Archie's doing a great job by not forgetting by their past, by releasing books still the old style Archie, but updating the stuff to different genres. Like they have a horror Archie section where you've got Afterlife with Archie and Sabrina and Jughead as a werewolf, and we're going to see Veronica as a vampire coming up later this year. And then you've got more grown-up ones as well. You've got the Rockstar ones are on the side. You've got the Archie's comic, which is about the Archie's band. You've got Josie and the Pussycats, so you've just got them folks on the bands. And you've got the Riverdale based on the TV show that's been so popular. So Archie's doing a great job. So Archie and DC decide to team up with a great idea. Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica, and they're on issue number 4 of the 6-issue miniseries, I believe. Yep. It's written by Mark Andreyko and Paul Dini, with art by Laura Bragg and Adriana Mello. And, you know, you got to love Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn teaming up with Betty and Veronica. In this case, their bodies are being switched. So Veronica and Betty are in the bodies of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and Harley and Poison Ivy are in the bodies of Betty and Veronica. So they're trying to work their way through that. It's been a spectacular series, absolutely insane. And you get 2 great writers, Mark Andreyko and Paul Dini, and great artists in Lara Braga and Adriana Mello, doing a fantastic job on the artwork. So fun series. Issue 4 is out now. As again, if you go to your local comic store, you might be able to find the first 3 up on the shelf as well. A little background on this, because this is one I've actually been looking forward to since I heard it was announced last summer that it was coming out this year. Hanna-Barbera, who created such characters as Yogi Bear, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, you know, characters like that, Dashley Muttley, Scooby-Doo, they decided to team up with DC, again, like I just talked about with Archie, and update their cartoon characters to present day. Now, they did a series of books that came out last summer, Future Quest, which had Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, Herculoids, Birdman, all teamed up together in a great big adventure saga written by Jeff Parker, who is the absolute perfect guy to write that. They did the Flintstones, where Mark Russell, the writer, turned the Flintstones into the most socially conscious comic of 2016-2017, using the Flintstones to talk about current socio-political events in our world now, but referring to it in a comedic way in the past. And then let's see if there's the Scooby Apocalypse, where it's Scooby-Doo, but instead of them chasing people dressed up as ghosts, they're actually in an apocalyptic world, taking on demons and trying to survive, and the characters are all different, and it's phenomenal. And so they've had a bunch of those come out, and then they had a second wave come out with the Jetsons updated, Dashley and Muttley, stuff like that. Now, Mark Russell only wrote 12 issues of the Flintstones, which is a shame because it was a fantastic series. I've read all the issues. I love all the issues. Those are a trade. Those 2 trades are ones I highly recommend you pick up as well to check out. Believe it or not, the Flintstones artwork is really nice as well. But Mark Russell only wanted to write 12 issues and move on to his next story, Snagglepuss Chronicles #1. You all know, remember Snagglepuss? Exit stage left. He's a Pink Panther-esque type of person who's very lispy and very dramatic. Well, Mark Russell decided to take that into account and turned Snagglepuss into a gay 50s Southern playwright. And they're releasing the first issue of the 12-issue miniseries this week. I cannot wait to read this. It's written by Mark Russell with art by Mike Feehan, Mark Morales. And it's already looks absolutely insane. And it's such a great idea for a comic to, again, focus on socioeconomic stuff set in the 1950s when things were not as nice. And again, those things are not as nice nowadays either. But it's a good, interesting way. You get a little bit of Augie Doggy in this. Huckleberry Hound shows up in here as well. and it is definitely not what you're expecting, and definitely worth a pickup. Exit Stage Left, the Snagglepuss Chronicles is probably my book of the week. I would pick this up in an instant. If you want something different, that's the other thing also, go to comic book stores now. Yeah, they're all superheroes. There's all kinds of stuff like that right now. But there's books like that out too. And books like you'll see with the independents as well. And Strangers in Paradise, which is one of my favorite comic books as well, is coming out next week. In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, newest issue. It stopped doing comics about 10 years ago, and now it's coming back. And so you'll see that on the show, and that'll probably be my book of the week as well. But that is definitely my book of the week. Speaking of Hanna-Barbera characters, as I was talking about, the Jetsons, number 3. That's right, number 3, right? Yep, 3 of 6, written by Jimmy Palmiotti, with art by Pierre Brito, has turned the Jetsons more into like a Fantastic Four series. It's more adventure-oriented, and slightly different than you expect from the Jetsons. So definitely another one worth a look. I read the first issue, loved it. A different take on the Jetsons as well. Fantastic. The newest issue, number 3, is out this week as well. That's it for DC. Another comic cover of the week, actually probably the only other one, and I think is actually, I like this one a little bit better than the Justice League one. So this one will be the cover of the week. It's Hawkeye number 14. Unfortunately, this book will be getting the axe in a few years, in a few issues, probably sometime by April. So you only got about maybe another story arc left in this. Kelly Thompson is a phenomenal writer, and she has been writing Hawkeye for the longest time. Art by Leonardo Romero. And we bring regular Hawkeye back, who, when he did his series by Matt Fraction, also worked with the female Hawkeye as well. So the artwork is phenomenal. The story is amazing. And I am very disappointed that Marvel has canceled this series, and a little upset about things. So we'll see what happens, but we still have a few more issues to go in it, so we'll see what happens. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and read the trades and get the comics and keep reading them until it gets canceled. You still totally should. Speaking of Kelly Thompson, she is writing, I think this is another miniseries. I think so. I don't think it's a regular series. She is writing the Rogue and Gambit series, issue number 1. So Kelly Thompson again is writer. Artist is Pere Perez. I wasn't going to pick this up, but then when I realized Kelly Thompson wrote it, and also a few people who had read the first issue said they should highly recommend it, because, to be honest, I've never really been a Gambit fan. And I kind of liked Rogue, but she was never one of my favorites. So now I'll have to wait and see what happens. But I will read this, and I'll see if I will follow up with it. But right now, I had to get the first issue. So why not? That's it for the Marvels that came out this week. However, last week I lamented the fact that my store did not have Amazing Spider-Man number 793. I think they got shorted, which is unfortunately one of the downsides of owning a comic book company, a comic book store, I should say. But when I went in on Wednesday to get my comics, this book was up on the New This Week shelf. So it leads me to believe that they probably didn't get any of their issues, even though it came out last week. But they got theirs this week, so they put up on the New This Week because it's new to them. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 793. As I said at the beginning of the show, Spider-Man is what got me into comics. My dad was the collector of Spider-Man. He gave me his collection when he was done with it to get me into it. And once I read all that, and I started making my own money, I would go to the local news center, which was a newsstand, which they don't even have anymore, which was the only place at this point near my house where you could get comic books, and they would have one of the spinny racks, and I would buy everything with Spider-Man on it, including Marvel team-ups, any crossovers they did with Fantastic Four, Avengers, X-Men, whatever. If Spider-Man was on the cover, I would get it. And then reading those issues, Avengers, Fantastic Four stuff that got me into comics that way. And then I discovered the local comic book store market with Jeppy's Comic World. Steve Jeppy is the owner of Diamond Comics. He was also my boss for 4 years. Nice gentleman. I've met him a number of times. And he has a great museum downtown Baltimore City. I will talk about later, not right now though. In springtime when it's nice out, it's a definite go-to place. But Amazing Spider-Man number 793 came out last week, but I just got it this week. This is another great Alex Ross cover. Continues the Venom Inc. story. This also is the countdown basically to the end of Dan Slott's amazing run. Dan Slott's been on this book for, God, probably since the turn of the century, probably. It seems like it anyway. But with issue 800, he will be leaving Amazing Spider-Man, which should be kind of nice to get a different take on Amazing Spider-Man. He's had some really good stories, but I kind of want to get a different take on it, so we'll see what happens. But this continues the Venom Inc. storyline. It's written by Dan Slott and Mike Cossa with art by Ryan Stegman. Ryan Stegman's great art, and I still like Stuart Immonen's artwork also. He's the regular artist on Amazing Spider-Man, but to get Ryan Stegman to do the artwork for this is amazing because it is absolutely stunning. I love how it looks, but I mean, if you're a fan of Venom, this storyline's up for you. I'm just doing it because I started recollecting Spider-Man with the Legacy books. So that came out last week. So you'll probably, for most people, that'll be on their last week's shelf, but I wanted to show it because I got it finally this week. Excuse me. That's it for Marvel. Only 4 independents. First up is Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Princess Leia one-shot. IEW is doing a Star Wars Adventures comic, whereas Marvel owns the rights to the in-canon Star Wars comics. I don't know exactly where these fit into it. I'm assuming they probably fit into it somewhere. But IEW is actually, this is more of an all-ages Star Wars comic, whereas the Star Wars comics that Marvel does are a bit more serious and cinematic. This is a bit more all ages. This month begins the focus on the female leads of all the Star Wars movies and TV shows, actually. Leia's this week. I think Rey is next week. Hera from Rebels is in a couple weeks. Ahsoka from Clone Wars is down the line. And Captain Phasma, I think, gets one also. So we'll see. But for now, this is a one-shot. I'm sorry, right here. Leia. Week 2 is Rey. Week 3 is Hera from Rebels. Week 4 is Ahsoka and Padme. That should be really interesting from the Clone Wars. And week 5 is Rose and Paige from the new Last Jedi. So I guess with Disney's name down here, I guess they're okaying this. But this is written by Elsa Chartier and Pierrick Collinet. And art is also by Elsa Chartier. So a story that takes place with Leia on Hoth, and you get to see her being the badass princess / general that you expect, and it's a total one shot. Here are the actually covers for the upcoming ones that are coming out this week, or this month. So definitely worth a check. These are all one shots. So if you like Star Wars, you can get these all ages books, or you can even catch up on the Marvel ones. Marvel's got some phenomenal ones. One of my Christmas presents I got for myself was the Darth Vader Omnibus, which collected the first Darth Vader series, the first 1 through 25, plus the Vader Down storyline, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Salvador LaRocca, which is amazing. It was an amazing series. I read the first 5 issues, and then I just lost it for whatever reason, just didn't start collecting it. But they do all kinds of series. They're starting to do some Last Jedi stuff as well now that the movie's been out and people have seen it. So if you like The Last Jedi or you like Star Wars in general, check out both Marvel and IDW's Star Wars comics. And if you're a female, as I said, IDW is doing a whole month worth of female-centric comics based in the Star Wars world. And with Disney's name on that, I'm betting these are canon as well. Speaking of women, Crosswind number 6. This is the last issue for now. Crosswind has been an amazing series, and I know I need to get the SARS because I do stunning and beautiful and amazing. I need to use some other words, but it's true. Crosswind has been amazing. The premise is a mafia hitman and an abused housewife somehow switch bodies, and their lives change forever. It has been picked up for a TV show. Probably won't be out probably till next year if they even get to that point, but it has been picked up for a TV show. It's written by Gail Simone with art by Kat Staggs. It's creator owned, so they can do whatever they want to with it. And again, it's one of those books that, if you think everything is just comic, just superhero battles, you can get books like this, which is completely different. So well worth it. It's been a great series. It looks like the trade will be coming out next month. So if you haven't gotten the issues, you can pick up the trade next month. But no, if you like the floppies, read the floppies. You can read it now before the trade comes out. Speaking of Marguerite Bennett, who I talked about earlier, Aftershock is probably the best independent company of the last year. They've been doing some great books, and this is another one in their long history. Marguerite Bennett's Animosity series. She's got Animosity, and this is Animosity Evolution. The basic premise behind the Animosity stories are, what if one day the animals became sentient and started to talk, and they took over the world? And it's a survival thing. Evolution takes place before the Animosity comic proper. Marguerite Bennett is the writer. Eric Gapster is the artist. Looks like this is a first of a new storyline. So Evolution is probably going to be around for a while. But as I said, the premise is animals have started to talk, and some are able to coexist with humans, others are not. And it is a crazy good series. The original Animosity is still going strong, and Animosity Evolutions. Finally, to end our happy Bat year, earlier this year, DC and Dynamite crossed over the Shadow and Batman, which is mind-blowing because it was like, why didn't it get done before? Well, now it's Dynamite's turn to do the Shadow and Batman. This is number 4 of a 6-issue miniseries. Both stories written by Steve Orlando. The art on this one is by Giovanni Timpano. So you get Batman, you get Shadow, and all heck breaks loose, and you get these two great characters together. And you even get Damian Robin in there as well. Dynamite's been doing pretty good stuff too, particularly with their female characters. As you can see, Xena is going to be coming out very soon as well, as is the delicious Delia Thoris. And we've got a Pumpkinhead comic coming out soon too, which I may have to check out. And James Bond and Red Sonja, Kiss Army of Darkness, all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's the last of the comics I got this week. So again, these are just the comics that I get. There are a whole bunch of other comics that are out this week that I did not get. That is why you need to go to your local comic book store and check out. You might find something you like. As I said, it wasn't just all superhero stuff. Now was it? It was a whole bunch of different things. So go ahead, check out your local comic book store. Most of them are really nice. The one I go to now they're entering their second month of being in their new location. It is much bigger, airier, more well lit, has TVs, you can watch movies, and the employees are phenomenal, very helpful, and it is a gorgeous setting, and I love it, and I'm very happy. So that's it for this week. I do another show called Dylan Knows. That's weekly as well, where I talk about all kinds of different things. I have 2 guest hosts. One will be this week, one will be next week. This week, MJ Khan, writer, will be coming onto the show for a new episode of Dylan Knows at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, discussing comic books. So if you're a fan of this, you might want to check out that comic book show as well. We'll be talking about the 2018 comic book movie slate. which ones are our best, and also some comic book news that might be of interest to you. So it's just about 10 o'clock. I've been on the air now for about 40 minutes. It's time for me to say farewell. Thanks again for watching. And I hope you make it a New Year's resolution to keep watching. I'm going to keep bringing you all kinds of cool comic book stuff. This is going to be a great year for comic books, great year for comic book movies. Find out more about comic book movies tomorrow night, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. on Dylan Knows with MJ Con. On that note, see you next week with brand new comics from DC, Marvel, and the Independents. Bye now.